The iPhone 14, it is here, it is new, and I've been spending the last week or so with it, and I always just have to ask the question, why? Why does this exist? And you know, I ask that question with every single piece of technology that I review. What is this aiming for? Why does it exist? Who is it for? What does it offer me? How does it benefit my life? Those are the important questions to ask with anything, and with the iPhone 14, there are, well, very few answers to all of those questions. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this because honestly, Apple's own website even kind of gives you the whole breakdown itself when you compare the iPhone 13 to the iPhone 14 side by side. You can see that the spec differences aren't very much. I mean, there's really not much to talk about that is different with this phone when you compare it to last year's model. And on top of that, the iPhone 13 is still available on Apple's website for $100 less than this phone. And they're mostly, I say mostly very loosely, but they are mostly the same phone. And it almost is like I could wrap this up and say buy a used iPhone 13 and save yourself a bunch of money. But let's talk about this for a second. Obviously, if you're coming from an older phone like an 11, a 12, etc., jumping to a 14 is going to be a nice move. But as I said, you always have to think about, should I buy a used older model instead? Because in my opinion, iOS 16 with an iPhone 13 for anybody that's upgrading from any years previous to that is almost a bigger upgrade than just buying an iPhone 14 in itself. And hear me out here. I'm not here to trash the iPhone 14 because it does have its space. And you know what? Let's be honest. If Apple didn't release an iPhone 14 and they just did a 14 Pro, people would complain that they didn't update the base models to the newest generation stuff. And you know what? They almost didn't do that with this either. This has last year's chip inside of it. And a lot of the things are the same, like the camera and everything like that. We do have some new features though that we can talk about. Of course, one that I cannot test out for myself is the SOS via satellite, where you can connect to a satellite and be able to get text messages and stuff through if you're lost or stranded. Hopefully nobody ever has to use that. We also do have crash detection in this as well if you're in a car accident. Again, something I don't want to have to be able to test out anytime soon. That is new to this phone. But do you need those? That's something that only you can personally answer. If you live that lifestyle where you might need a couple of those features, then this phone might be for you. We also have better low light performance with the rear cameras, which I'm pretty sure is software enhanced. It has image processing that's doing that. And on the front facing camera, we have autofocus as well. I guess one of the only things I can say about the physical changes with the camera, at least I believe so, is that the aperture is bumped down to 1.5 instead of 1.6 as we saw on the previous model. So as I said, this does have the same chip that was used in the iPhone 13 Pro, etc. And I mean, it's fast. What can I say? It's a fast phone, but I've only been using it for about a week now, so I can't really comment on long-term use with that, but I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. iOS 16 is a breeze on this thing, and you shouldn't have any problems with that. I mean, using the phone in practice, daily use, there's absolutely nothing wrong. There's nothing bad that's going to happen with that. As I said, the camera on the back does have better low-light image processing, and the camera quality is good here. I mean, it's exactly what I would expect from this phone. Nothing more, nothing less, and that is perfectly fine because the photos here definitely speak for themselves. You can see that we have nice, clean, crisp photos pretty much across the board on all of these, and I'll be sure to link a gallery below in case you want to check out some of these full resolution photos for yourself. And as far as battery life goes, well, it's hard to tell you on a new phone, but I can definitely say without a doubt every single day I was able to make it through the full day with about 20 to 30% left on the device. Now, I'm a hardcore user, and your use may vary, your battery life may vary depending on how much you use your phone, but I thought that was pretty normal. It was exactly what I expected, at least from the long-term or from the short-term battery use. Long-term battery use is going to be something that we'll have to revisit down the road, and be sure to leave a thumbs up if you want me to do a long-term review with the iPhone 14 as well. The best, most insightful information I can give you about the iPhone 14 is if you really want this phone, the greatest thing that you can do in your life right now is buy an iPhone 13 used in good condition and then upgrade it to iOS 16. And from there, you basically have an iPhone 14 without a few little features. But to be honest, most of those little features, I see a lot of people getting more use out of paying the extra $300 upgrading to an iPhone 14 Pro, because there's a lot more that comes in store for that extra $300 than you're getting with this iPhone 14. So I would say this is kind of a middle of the road situation. You have an iPhone 13 used on one side, you have an iPhone 14 Pro on the other side that's a little more expensive, but at the end of the day, I just think that an iPhone 13 is probably a better move than the iPhone 14. Though, this is nice, new, and shiny, and it does have different colors, and it is probably one of those situations where, well, if you really want it and you got the money to spend, go for it. You're gonna love this phone. It's a great, fast phone. But I said what I said, and I hope that was very insightful information for you. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, be sure to leave it a thumbs up. And if you're new around here to the channel, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new videos like this drop in the near future. That being said, I really do appreciate all the support, everyone. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, this is Dom, and I will catch you in the next video.